We were all wondering for all these years, Tony, why exactly did the Chargers draft Jerry Tillery? Well, it's finally been revealed. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing for us that the Raiders lost. I mean, it's obviously a good thing in the form of a Raiders loss, and embarrassing one at that. But we lost to them like a couple days before that.
Holy shit, Mike. That is something that I can't, like, that we're going to talk a lot about, right? Even, I guess more so than just the game, but just comparing the two, with the Raiders having to play on such a short week, right? Yeah. And hello, Athir out there. Tucker Warner, great name. Welcome back to the program. Just when I was extremely bummed about how the Raiders game played out and how it felt like there was no real adjustment. And then I went in, and the first text they said was that if the Rams beat the Chargers, that everyone on our coaching staff should be fired immediately after that game was over. Everybody. Because when you look at it, it's like, oh, well, we have all these injuries.
Yeah.
So do the Rams.
Exactly.
Well, the Rams are going to start John Wolford, and then their emergency QB, if his neck goes bad, which only lasted one series, is a quarterback who's been there for less than 48 hours. Like, I have trouble adjusting on vacation, right? This dude is playing in the NFL, which is just insane. So, like, I'm sitting there and I'm watching the game, and I'm like, well, sooner or later, Josh Jacobs is just going to take over, right?
I thought too.
This is just like they're just going to unleash Jacobs. Well, sooner or later, they're just going to unleash Devontae Adams and just start throwing the ball to him and going and doing all this stuff. And it's like, now Raheem Morris is better. Like, the Rams their defense might not be good. They still stop the run. Like, it's not like it's gotten worse. Like, they lost Aaron Donald. Now the run's going to suffer. No, they just bring in new guys and just stop the run.
Yeah, it sucks to see, and especially a couple days removed from our game. Obviously, if the Raiders had a whole week to prepare, maybe they would have done better. I think it was emotional for them, where they're just riding high on this winning streak, and you kind of let your foot off the gas pedal a little bit. And in this league, you do that, you let the Rams stick around within 2 possessions for the entirety of the game, what's going to happen to you? You're going to get what you get.
Yeah, I didn't really watch closely enough to see how they played Devontae differently. Like, was that just a lapse of judgment on their part not to game plan for, Devontae more and get it open more? Carr did what he normally does. He gets down in the red zone and throws a terrible interception. Like, you and Joe were going back and forth, like, well, maybe he could have been trying to throw it. He wasn't trying to throw that away. He was trying to get it to Matt Collins in the back of the end zone, which is a terrible decision right there, and throws the INT in the red zone, where you just want to get points. Just get the 3 points at that point. Like, throw it out of the back of the end zone, bring on your great kicker, whatever. But, like, are you ready for me to go? I was telling you, like, I just started writing down. I just started reading all this stuff. I'm like, do you want me to go into all this stuff that I was gathering?
Let it fly, Tony. I'm here.
Holy shit. So after the Raiders game, I'm just looking around. I'm just like, what? There's got to be an answer for this. Because remember, we said it in the thing last week, if we can hold Jacobs to 140 or less, we'll feel good about it. I think he ended up with like 146. So it's pretty good. How did all of a sudden the Raiders defense just look like superstars against us? And you know how pissed like I was, but I'm sure everybody had to be to see Tillery getting 2 hits on Herbert in that game. Nothing. Like, we're watching the game last night, and what are they doing? Baker Mayfield going, rolling out of the pocket, getting him easy throws. No easy throws for us, right? So you just start looking around, and I was just like, if you hire a new coach It should be at some point, whatever his specialty was, whatever he was hired for his side of the ball, you should see improvement. So I just started looking around. I was like, well, Nick Sirianni. Sure, Shane Steichen's there, former Chargers coach, right? But, like, you now have an MVP candidate in Jalen Hurts. Robert Saleh, the Jets defense, could carry them to the playoffs this year. Coach on that side of the ball. These are all coaches that were hired his year. Arthur Smith, back-to-back years, has a team that is like dominating the rushing. They don't have the quarterback. That's understandable. But he won 7 games with Matt Ryan last year. That looks like a Herculean effort from what we're seeing with Matt Ryan and the Indianapolis Colts right now. Dan Campbell, who doesn't necessarily have any specialty except for what? Rah, fire him up, here we go. And the Lions are fighting, and they're back in it, and they're relevant, and they're surging with Jared Goff at quarterback. They're one of the highest scoring teams out there. So then this year, Brian Dable. Guy looks like a freaking genius having Daniel Jones having one of his best years. The defense is playing better. Saquon's back. Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings offense was not good, stagnant, whatever. Justin Jefferson about to have like an MVP season. Doug Peterson, we know he's a Super Bowl winning coach, but what does he do? Now all of a sudden people are talking about Trevor Lawrence joining the top 10 of QBs next season. And then Mike McDaniel has Tua Tagovailoa in an MVP conversation. That's who we're going to see. And yet, for us, our new coach, last year, defense, 29th against points, 30th against rush yards per game. But it gets better in year 2, right? Wrong. 30th in points against this year, Mike, when the league is down in scoring across the league. 28th in yards per carry. And I think that that's only because certain teams still have buys. Like once we get through this week, our yards per carry could just be surpassing some of those people. And 32 per play, right? Like on average per play. So it's not getting better. In fact, it's just staying worse. And the idea that we are supposed to be, we're hurting, or we should be accepting that things aren't going as well, is because we have injuries. Herbert has injuries. We're down 5 points a game on offense this year. 5 points a game from what we had last year in 202 of his Lombardi's offense. We are rushing the ball 18 times per game. Now, I took out Herbert's rush attempts last year and Herbert's rush attempts this year. We are at 18 rush attempts a game. His slogan was, he's been saying it all year, I want to be a tough and rugged team, Mike. We're going to be tough and rugged. How are you tough and rugged? You win at the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively. Half the time on defense, we have 2 defensive tackles, 2 D linemen out there. How are we supposed to be tough and rugged like that? Offense, how are you supposed to be tough and rugged? Run the football a little bit. We're like 30th in rush attempts or 31st in rush attempts per game. Then this is not how you get to be tough and rugged. Lastly, if you break things down in quarters, and I know you really can't do that because we switched to the 17-game schedule, but if you take the last quarter as sort of the 5 games, which is what we are embarking on right now, he has to, absolutely has to, and I don't care. There's no excuse. There's no injury. There's no nothing. Like this has to be 4-1 down the stretch. And it starts this week with Miami because the final 3 games, I was talking to another Chargers fan, the final 3 games, Mike, these are all W's. Check them up. If you get these next 2 Chargers in the playoffs, are you sure they're going to beat the Colts? Jonathan Taylor seems like he's pretty healthy and pretty good. Are you sure they're going to beat the Titans? They got Derrick Henry on that side of the football. Like, are you sure that you can go to Denver and win, which is a tough place to win? Like, what am I doing? What am I seeing? And I'm like, okay, Brandon Staley, for whatever reason, I want this guy to succeed. I really, really, really want him to succeed. I want him to be the coach and everything. I just don't see how it's possible without him making like a drastic change. And it depresses the shit out of me.
Yeah. And I agree with everything you said here. That doesn't make any sense. And some of those coaches that you listed are going to fall to circumstance. They are going to fall to circumstance down the line. But at least we are seeing what they were brought in to do. And you see improvements in those categories. That's bare minimum. That's a very good point made by you, that on our side, we've gotten worse on our defense going from a running backs coach to a defensive coordinator.
Yeah. Worse.
Which
And
makes
like
sense.
I didn't even get into the fact that like Chenna Nwosu is doubling up his career numbers. He has surpassed every number he had last year in Staley's defense with a defensive coach like Pete Carroll. Like I didn't even go into the fact that like he's probably going to be named to the Pro Bowl. He's probably going to hit somewhere around 12 to 15 sacks. Hey Rosemary, how is it possible that this is the situation that we're in, and yet I have faith that in the final 5 games of the season, something's got to click where it's like, oh shit, I might not have a job if I don't change things up. Like it's as simple as that. Like I might not get to be a coach of this team that has so much talent, such a bright future, if I don't try something drastically different than what I've been doing. Because if you weren't getting it done with all of your aces, what makes you think that the next group of players is going to be able to execute your level of? Do you know what? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it's a situation where it's like, even if we get the guys back, bad playing calling on offense is still present. Bad sets, when you talk about the defensive backs to defensive lineman situations, are still going to exist, even when all the players are there, healthy, playing, which is never going to happen in the NFL in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Lombardi is where it's like I think that he's just naturally just a conservative person. Like even in his play calling last year, we kind of complained a little bit about how like why isn't he just doing more? And when you look at like all of the times that Herbert has to do something, he delivers. And my thing is like, why aren't you playing with the mentality that we have to do something? Because if you know that your defense is going to average to give up somewhere in the bottom 3 of total points, you should always be in the mindset that we have to be doing something. You shouldn't be like, oh, well, we got to figure out how to manufacture super long drives every single time. No, we should be coming out on first down and go and throwing it deep. And people go, oh, well, the offensive line isn't going to help you. Are you kidding me? The Rams offensive line is not any good. And they were much better yesterday than we were because there's a somewhat of a commitment to the run. So the play action fake actually works. Stop motioning the Austin Eckler and leaving him back there. There's no threat of a run at that point right there. And then they know that they're only going to cover hitch routes. How come Herbert isn't lining up under center more to give more threat to the play action? Like, there's just so many things that are happening where it's like you're not trying a different enough things for this stuff to work. And yet, Mike, somehow, I still have faith that this team is going to go 4-1 down the stretch, be 10-7, and be right there on a coin flip for a playoff spot with the Jets.
Yeah, you have faith because of Justin freaking Herbert. Like, for example, on that play where he scored to Keenan Allen, most people probably don't know this that are Chargers fans, and it's really going to piss you guys off. On that play, the play call was, gotta have it, game on the line on 4th and 9. 4 hitches across the line. Herbert rolls out, and Keenan Allen broke up field because he's Keenan Allen. If we don't have Keenan Allen and Herbert on the field in that situation, it probably doesn't happen because the receiver has to have the wherewithal. A quarterback's rolling out. Where's the empty space? Down the field, and he can throw it that far. The quarterback has to have the wherewithal. Oh, the hitches didn't work. I got to buy time so Keenan Allen can get open. If it's not that situation, the Chargers just get stomped last week, and there is no chance to win. And also, they finally do get aggressive on the final drive, and with the game on the line again, it's a fade up the sideline to our punt returner. I'm being honest here with DeAndre Carter. At this point, what kind of idea is that? That was designed. Herbert took one step and threw that.
Yeah, and not even to Palmer, who we've seen have a lot of success downfield and is more likely
and on the sideline specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, is bigger and has a better chance at drawing a pass interference in my estimation because you got to play him a little more physical. Mm-hmm. But Mike, they ran 8-yard routes and it was 4th and 12 on that play. And in that situation, Joe Lombardi goes, "Oh, well, we thought we were going to see zone coverage." Like that was the excuse. That's what, because Popper asked him, and he goes, "Oh, we thought we were going to get one look, or we thought we were going to see man, and or whatever it was." Like it was vice versa to what he thought he was going to say. That still does not answer the question of why on 4th and 12, not one option was deeper than 8 or 9 yards down the field. Like it doesn't change whatever that answer is. So now you get back Mike and you get back Keenan, and we've already seen that you can have success even with just Everett and Carter and Palmer. There should be zero excuses for why we aren't trying to run the football and why we aren't trying to get the ball deep to Mike and to Palmer and even on Keenan in some spots there. Athir, what he wants to know if we answered his question. I know he's got to get back to where we're
going to get to it. It's completely it's about Rashawn Slater returning for the Super Bowl. Like it's completely out of left field for what we're talking about. Well, we're gonna answer it, Athir. But yeah, I agree with you. And it's like we have an offense, and even without Mike Williams last week and against KC, that we should actually want them to come to the line of scrimmage and play man coverage against us. And right now, they're seeing on tape that we're only running hitches. Every once in a while, they throw a dig in. Every once in a while, they throw a go in. But it's so basic that even though we have Josh Palmer, even though we have Keenan Allen, Gerald Everett, Austin Eckler out the backfield, Justin Herbert can run with the football, you shouldn't run man coverage against this team on paper, ever. We should kill man coverage. But they still do it because they're expecting hitches. They were talking about it in the broadcast, too, that the Raiders DBs were playing aggressive on the cuts because they have no worry of a double move. They haven't seen them all year. There's been 0 double moves. When did we run a double move this year? That was designed.
We haven't. There was even like the route that they had to Palmer last week where he did that. He faked a double move into a hitch. It was like a triple move. Like they're like, let's break down this route of Joshua Palmer. And he hits him with a double move and a little stutter like he's going to go deep. And then that guy was like, oh, shit, he's actually going to run deep. He slips off of him, and Palmer curls back for, I think he gets the first down or whatever after and extends it, which is fantastic. That should be something that you do. But that should be even more effective if you were pushing it down the field that much more. Instead of it being that close, he should have been able to turn around, catch that, and had 8 or 9 yards of some kind of separation area to work with. And it's not like it's not capable of it, because you'll see little glimpses of things where it works and it goes, but then it falls right back into, well, like, this is what we know, this is what we do, this is what we're comfortable with or whatever. And it's like when you watch what the Rams did last night, even in the game, like, I know it felt pretty controlled, but if Cam Akers doesn't fumble that football, do you still think the Raiders, like, do they fold at that point in the game when it becomes closer? Or do you think they try and step up and play harder? Like, they
probably do step up. They probably do. And even on the last drive where they had the opportunity to ice the game, they got it to 3rd and 1 and needed 1 yard to win it.
Yeah.
So, like, they had the opportunity to win it, and the Rams took it away on that 3rd and 1 play and gave their quarterback that was available a chance.
It's just absolutely wild.
Wild. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing on our coaches too to see the Rams' defensive game plan for this game and how they handled Devontae Adams and what he did to us. Because, like, Jalen Ramsey actually had a good game, even though he got cooked a few times. They used a lot of confusing, like, where they're at the line of scrimmage and he drops back in zone, or he's playing off, but he's really in man. And they just didn't give Devontae or Carr like a clear look at what Jalen was playing. And yeah, they caught him sleeping a few times, but they didn't give him a clear, like, it's man to man. It's 3rd and 1. Play action. Devontae Adams scores a touchdown. Like, it's that simple.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
You're going to get beat. You're going to get beat by Devontae Adams. You're going to get beat. Like, these guys are the best at what they do and paid the most what they do, but you shouldn't get just beaten for an entire 4 quarters by these players. Like, and you see the better teams find ways to taper off the production of some of these players, except for our team. Like everybody goes out and has like career games. Everybody. And it's frustrating.
And this is why, because that's a scheme thing. They're just doing the same thing over and over again, and that's what's happening. But this is why, like after Tay got the first touchdown against us, I was baffled when they ran that same coverage again the next drive. I was baffled. I was like, what the? You just got toasted by that. Now all they did was add the flea flicker part to make it look more fancy. They could have done whatever they wanted again. But at some point, you got to make some kind of adjustments to what the other team is doing. And that is something that's been absent for the Chargers offensively and defensively. Our adjustments are Khalil Mack, please run out and strip a wide receiver in the middle of a play. Justin Herbert, please roll right and throw a 50-yard dot into like a basket, basically. Like that is what the adjustments are. It's a prayer. And it's frustrating. And that's why I think anything short of winning the Super Bowl miraculously, I think no matter what the result is, I want to see Sean Payton as the coach of this team or someone else, anyone else.
Yeah, I think, and that's what I'm about to say is like everything I said and all those numbers. And Tucker, thank you for joining the show. He said he's got to run out of here.
Appreciate it.
Anything to me, it doesn't have to be necessarily winning the Super Bowl, but there needs to be a really big turnaround, Mike, as far as like the defense. Like that's what needs to almost not carry the team, but that needs to be the component of when we as fans or whoever is watching it, it's like, oh shit, this is something to deal with here. Like we have a problem here. We have a real issue. So it's like,
especially when Bosa comes back. But what's probably going to happen is like if we win this weekend, it'll be like 35-30. It'll be 35-30 Chargers. And then if we win the next week, it'll be 28-27 over the Titans. We win the next week, we're going to give up a shit ton of points to the Colts. Like that's the way it's gone this year. Let's get to this question. Athir is triggered. So he has an important question to ask. No one is saying anything. But the loss of Slater, my question, what happens to Mahomes in the Super Bowl versus the Bucs without his tackles? Be honest, guys. Mahomes got destroyed. That was a fact. But their situation was even worse than ours. They weren't just down their starters. They were down to like guys that shouldn't be on the field playing in the Super Bowl against the Bucs.
Yeah, against that. Okay, you're still going to there's still adjustments that you can play. Like this idea that you don't have your best players out there. So like, whoa, what are you going to do? It's like, but that's what good coaches do. Great coaches always find ways where it doesn't matter. Like, okay, the next man up mentality is still successful for a lot of coaches. It might not be successful in like Super Bowl equation. That Bucs defense was also really, 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 really good. Like not all-time great, but like knocking on the door of being something very special. What they put together in that one season. So it's like, again, I'm not saying that this team should have the same expectations that we had with it coming into week one, but it should be a little bit more than this. Because if this is the same thing next year, injuries are going to happen again next year. Attrition in the NFL go hand in hand, and you can't avoid it. And if you continue to do the same thing, now, like, let's transition to talking about the Dolphins, and I'll make it make sense. In this game, if they can find a way to the defense to be competitive with the Dolphins and this kind of offense in this game, and that could be as much as, Mike, that could still be 27, 30 points in this game. But you're getting big stops when they're needed and keeping your team like on that in the game. Like I just always feel like the defense is not being put in a position until the backs are against the wall and the team is just like, well, we got 2-score lead. We're just going to run the football into the meat of the defense. Like what Arizona did for 3 straight drives. That at that point is like when you can stop it. Because we won the Arizona game, But didn't you feel watching that like Arizona was kind of handling it, that they were the better team?
And games like that, the reasons that I don't have as much confidence as I would have before that game in the Chargers going down this stretch, because that was a game that, and playing a team that I felt like is kind of in shambles a little bit. They still have talent scattered. The depth isn't there. They aren't playing great. Their coach is screwing everything up. And how long till teams see on film that the Chargers are buckling down late in the game with the run defense and they just throw one over our head? Oh, wait, it happened a week later against the Raiders.
Yeah.
So it's not a formula for season long, and definitely not a formula for playoff success.
Yeah.
Literally, if you don't have Herbert, we're a 3-win team. If we have anyone else minus like 2 other quarterbacks in the NFL right now, we're a terrible football team. 2013, I think he's talking about Sean Payton here, and Payton will never be on the Chargers. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that for sure. I think that if things go well for us here at the end of the year, we make the playoffs, the management, everyone might be inclined to give one more year, and that will send Sean Payton to Arizona or send Sean Payton to Carolina or wherever the hell he wants to coach. But if Staley's out, I think there's a good chance that they link up and they try and get Sean Payton in there. We saw the Miami Dolphins going full on illegally trying to recruit Sean Payton. Teams are going to want him to come. And it seems like he wants to come to our team. And talking about scandals, Athir, I'm not saying I want the Chargers to cheat. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that in some way, shape, or form, every team in the league is trying to get a competitive advantage. That same season that the Patriots got busted for Deflategate, the Chargers got busted for using an illegal substance on their gloves so that way they can catch the ball better, and it kind of got covered and not in the news cycle, or no one got suspended because of the Deflategate stuff. Otherwise, we probably would have seen some receivers get suspended for that. I'm just using that as an example. If you win a Super Bowl,
yeah, it's lost in history. Everything gets lost in history. What the Patriots did to win or whatever, people won't talk about it. Like nobody ever has anything bad to say about Michael Jordan because he's Michael Jordan. Nobody's gonna have anything bad to say about the Patriots in 25, 30 years down the road because it'll just be, the Patriots were just that dynasty from the 90s and the 2000s.
Yeah, and like he's saying, if Sean Payton comes, he's probably going to be the GM or at least heavy control of roster construction, and we're going to see some guys gone, probably veteran players. But anyways, he's going to want a similar offense to what he's had success with. So we'll see, like guys like Keenan Allen, guys like Khalil Mack. We'll see how much Sean Payton loves them as much as Staley does. If it happens, we're a long ways away from it. I want to get into the injury report real quick because it is concerning, as it is every week. We have a long list of names here. Bryce Callahan, doubtful to play on Sunday. Slot corner, been brilliant this year. Been one of the best slot corners in the NFL, in my opinion. He's probably not playing. With a groin, it's probably not happening. DeAndre Carter, quad, full practice all week. He's good. Will Clapp, he's good. Michael Davis with a knee injury. He's been practicing all week. I think it's the same one that's been lingering, but he's good to go. Derwin James, quadricep injury, has not practiced this week, is doubtful to play, and that just comes out of nowhere, right? It happened in the Arizona game, is what Brandon Staley said. Zion Johnson is back. He's been dealing with that shoulder that he was in and out of the game of last week, but he's good to go. Sebastian Joseph Day, I don't think is playing this week. Knee injury. Corey Linsley, concussion, got cleared today. He should play. Kenneth Murray, hamstring. He's practiced through it. He should play. Trey Pipkins is doubtful to play on Sunday with his knee. Sawyer is good to go. He's dealing with a little bit of a knee tweak also. Mike Williams is not on the injury report anymore. That is the great news of the day. Mike Williams removed from Friday's injury report. Down to the Dolphins. They've got River Craycraft. He is the only doubtful player. And Justin Zimmer, don't know his role on the defense. Durham Smythe, Teddy Bridgewater, and Teron Armstead are all questionable. Everyone else on this report is good to go. Tyreek Hill was sick earlier in the week. He's good to go as well. And to quote Mike McDaniel, he said even if he's playing sick, he's still fast.
Yeah. Mike McDaniel says some stuff that cracks me up for sure. So look at the injury report, and it's just getting absolutely just out of control. It doesn't matter when you still have number 10, and yes, the team is better on defense with James and Bosa, and Bryce Callahan has been, I think, one of the 3 best signings they had this offseason. He's just been phenomenal, in my opinion. Sebastian Joseph Day is gonna hurt there, but this is where the coach comes in and says, like, hey, we got to change things up a little bit, because to stop the run or to do these different things, it's like we have to play differently, because we can't depend on Derwin to do these things. And to be honest, like, it's not like the defense was setting the world on fire with Derwin out there. So, like, something was even going to have to change. Even if Derwin was in the game, they were going to have to find a different way to play in this football game. And I think that is just like, there's some connection that's lost, because Lombardi pointed something out in his press conference on Thursday, where he said he thinks that the Raiders saw something from the Arizona game that worked, and then they took it to another level, and that they're going to have to prove against the Dolphins how they can handle these certain pressures and certain looks that they're giving the offensive line. And it's like, okay, great. Now, if you watch the game last week, what the 49ers did against the Dolphins, the way that they were playing and throwing off the timing, like, Tua didn't just play bad, like, because he just had a bad game. They made the offense look a little bit out of sync and a little bit out of rhythm. And I think that now, while it might not be that effective or as effective as the 49ers, they just have to find some way to decrease the timing that is built into this offense. Like, just a little wrench, because this offense is going to turn against this defense no matter what. But if they can just find a little something of what the 49ers did, whether it's like jamming them in press coverage because they want to get these quick screens or whatever it is, like, those are the things we need to do. Oh, what was effective from the 49ers, and what can we actually implement to our game plan this week that made that successful? Because there isn't a lot of successful blueprints out there. Maybe the first half of the Ravens game, and then last week against the 49ers. All the other tape, pretty much throw that shit away, because they've been killing everybody. So, like, those are the things I'm watching. What were they doing for it to be successful, and put it in there? And I would wager a bet that it wasn't 2D line on the field.
Yeah, and if we get early turnovers, those plays that we've been talking about, it's a bad defense, but it forces turnovers. Maybe capitalize on those. Get some points. Maybe at least 3. Thank you. I'd like that. But that gets us to our keys to victory, guys. Let us know in the chat your keys to victory. Let us know in the comments if you're watching the replay. I'm going to try and get this out to as many Chargers fans as I can this weekend. Rose is on her way home, by the way. Breaking news. My key to victory, honestly, and the defense is toast. I really do think the defense is absolutely toast. We're missing the most tackles in the NFL. We're the worst against the run in the NFL, and we're facing Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, who are really good at breaking tackles, and a really good run game and scheme that Mike McDaniel has put together in Miami. It's much like San Francisco's in Miami, though. So I think our defense is toast. I think the key to victory is that the offense is more balanced, first of all, and we establish the run early on in the game, and Herbert goes off. That's really what the key to victory is for us this week and every week until Joey Bosa, Derwin James are on the field again.
Yeah, I think my key to victory is going to be the same thing it was last week that they just didn't do, which is Herbert needs to run the football. Like, he needs to step up and scramble and try and pick up these things instead of, like, it's great. He wants to look downfield and make the play downfield, but he's super athletic, right? And I think one way to ease these things up, one thing that Mahomes does, where people are like, you can't blitz Mahomes because he'll take off. It's like, Herbert, you can do the same things that Patrick Mahomes can do, but he chooses not to do those things, and I think he has to do it. The other key to victory, because I am with you 100%, I don't see it defensively what's going to happen, is so you don't want to run Austin Eckler 20 times because you don't want to wear him down or whatever. Then fine. I need 12 carries for Josh Kelly in this game. I need 10 carries for Eckler. I need 12 for him. And then if you need goal line touches for a Horvath or a short 4th and 1 to Sony Michel, I need the game plan in this to have 25 plus running plays. Like, we're doing this. This is what we're going to do. There's some element to like that they have this thing. Well, we need to speed them up all the time. It's like, it's not working. It's not working what you're doing. Just slow it down. And at the very minimum, your defense gets a little bit more of a break.
Exactly. And they ranted and raved all offseason about how improved Josh Kelly is. And I was a Josh Kelly doubter. I wanted to see Isaiah Spiller and Sony Michel in the preseason just because of some nightmares that I had with Josh Kelly and fumbles in big games in the past. He's averaging 4.5 yards per carry right now, and that number is probably hurt by the lack of carries. If he gets more, that number is probably going up because it seems like he gets 5 and he breaks a tackle every time he gets the ball, even if it's in the pass game. Yeah, so where is it? You don't have to run Eckler into the ground because that's literally what Josh Kelly's build is. He seems like a high volume runner.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like right now, Herbert's throwing the ball on average. I forget the number, but it's like high 30s or 40 attempts a game or whatever the number was. It's crazy how much they're throwing the football. And what would make Herbert that much more effective is if the pass wasn't so damn predictable that they were going to run it. And like, I don't know what the idea is that he's not like running more play actions, more rollouts, more bootleg, whatever it is. Like, there's just nothing that's there. Like, I would even settle for some like fun, like, let's mix it up in the way of like a tight end screen to Gerald Everett or something crazy.
Yeah, we have so many guys that you can get to this week. If Mike Williams is back, the offense is going to be loaded with weapons, so it should be better. And talking about protecting Eckler, looking at some numbers, Tony, this week for a TikTok post that I'm working on. What about protecting Herbert with the run game? Because Herbert is on track right now to have been sacked more times in his first 3 years than Andrew Luck was. It's sad. It's a sad stat that they're letting that happen. The reason is he's thrown it 50 times in front of an O-line that has 2 6th-round or later rookies blocking.
Yes. And undrafted Will Clapp or whatever it is. So it's like...
Exactly.
Yeah, there has to be this really big effort to say, like, we are going to try and help out our defense by keeping them off the field. And there is a commitment to running the football. And then off of that, running the football, taking big shots down the field. Because even when one of the things is that we have with Herbert that's driving me nuts, Mike, is that even when things are going well, we had the Eckler fumble to start the third quarter last week. We've had big drops from Gerald Everett, from Trey McKitty, from whatever it is. And all of a sudden, it's a quick 3-and-out punt, and it's like 4-14 in the third quarter. And that was our possession that we wanted to have in the third quarter. What if we just came out and we just ran the ball 3 straight times and picked up a first down? All of a sudden, now the clock's down into 3:25. And the first one. And we rip off a 4th run. It only goes for a no gain. We play action fake on the 5th play right there. And now we might actually have something there. But there doesn't seem to be.
It's just not balanced. It's not balanced. It's not a good attack. It's a Herbert or nothing type attack. I will say, if we can't establish the run, I'll never predict the Chargers to lose. 35-32. Chargers win. Electric fashion. Kicker the Dicker is being carried off the field again in SoFi Stadium. What's your prediction?
I love it. 36-34, Mike. And you don't even – the run doesn't need to be as effective as it does. It just needs to be established. Because you still have to respect Austin Eckler and Josh Kelly. Like, you still have to respect those. Because at some point, if you give them enough, they're going to start gashing you. And not only that, it's going to tire out the defense and tire out the pass rush and all of the other things that go along with it. Even if it's not effective, you cannot abandon it because it helps too many other things. And we're running the ball 18 times a game. It's not enough. 30 what I say, 36-34 Chargers win.
I said 35-32. So we basically are saying the same thing is going to happen here. The Chargers are going to pull this out. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Deere's going for 150 total yards and 3 touchdowns. Not out of the realm for Austin Eckler at all. Also, by the way, Chargers fans, this is a bad defense that we're facing. They are not the Brian Flores Dolphins defense. And by the way, Brian Flores might be a candidate to be our defense coordinator if Sean Payton does come over.
Athir, you are hilarious, my brother, and I hope and pray that you have a tremendous weekend, wonderful, whatever's going on. But you come in here, stick it up for Brandon Staley, and you want to give up 41 points at home?
Yeah, you believe in Staley at the year, but we got 41 getting dropped on us by Tua.
And here's the thing, is that if the Dolphins scored 41, I wouldn't show up here next week and be like, well, I didn't see that coming.
That's a great way to end it. We'll talk to you guys next week. Start looking up to the sky or down to the ground, whichever person you worship. And whoever it is, hopefully they help us get a W on Sunday. Anything else, Tony?
Let's go.
Gotta have it. Like the video, subscribe, and bolt up.
Staley. I believe you.
We believe in you, Staley. We believe in you. Me, Tony,